and germs, you're watching this on the NJ Today YouTube channel. My name's McConaughey, and today I'll be giving my thoughts on the 2017 film Death Note. Looking back, I have a lot of fond memories with the Death Note anime series, a series that, in a lot of ways, acted as a gateway series for my later interest in Japanese animation. I had been acquainted some through series like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Dragon Ball that I watched in my younger years, but it was Death Note I really saw what this storytelling medium was capable of. Series like Full Metal Alchemist exist in a class all of their own in my eyes, and Death Note was certainly no slouch. The proverbial chess match between Light and L, as well as the development of their characters, is some really fantastic work, especially in the early going of the series. I love the characters and how they behave as combatants, and I really think that the relationship between the two, above all else, is what I would single out in the series. The success of Death Note as an anime series and its unique premise made the concept of a film adaptation seem like a no-brainer. The first Japanese live-action adaptation arrived in 2006, with a follow-up spin-off in 2008, a miniseries in 2016, and another film acting as a sequel to the second in 2016 as well. Of these films, I've only actually seen the first, which I remembered with a mixed bag of emotions, although I enjoyed the voice actors of the dubbed anime series reprising their roles. 2017's Death Note is the first American live-action adaptation of the source material. Based, of course, on the manga of the same name, this dark fantasy horror thriller was directed by Adam Wingard, a director known for his work on the Blair Witch reboot and the film You're Next. I can't honestly say I was very optimistic when I saw his name attached to the film. This Death Note film premiered on Netflix on August 25, 2017, and brought actor Nat Wolff to play the role of Light Yagami, with Laika Stanfield acting the role of L. Nat Wolff is an actor that I'm vaguely familiar with, whereas Stanfield I knew mostly from his solid performance in the film Get Out. For the most part, I didn't have a lot of issues with the casting decisions going in for the Death Note film, and I would single out Willem Dafoe as the character voice of Ryuk being a perfect match. The film was released exclusively on Netflix, a fact that makes its financial prospects difficult to report on, although it has been reported that the film had a production budget of about $30 million. Death Note follows the story of a high school student named Light Turner, scrapping the Japanese name to go along with the new setting of Seattle. Light discovers a strange notebook known as the Death Note, a book that is capable of causing the death of anyone the user writes in the book as long as certain rules are followed beforehand. The film focuses predominantly on his relationship with a woman named Maya, and his choice to use the Death Note as an act of vigilantism, as well as the FBI detective L who is trying to stop him. Something I wanted to do for this review as I was summarizing my thoughts is I didn't want to spend the entirety of my analysis looking at the differences it has with the source material, be it the manga or the anime series. I encourage new ideas and reimaginings, so long as they capture the essence and importance that is held at the crux of the source material. And so I will do my best to do so when I tell you that, even standing on its own, this Death Note adaptation makes for a bad film. The character of Light Turner is one-dimensional and otherwise typical, whiny and stupid throughout most of the film. I wouldn't say that it's a casting decision that causes the Light character to be so bad, but rather the way his character is portrayed never gives a genuine or unique perspective on who he is. The film executes a bland subplot regarding the death of his mother, and too often it feels like the film approached Maya as his main antagonist. Never mind how different this approach is from what has been done before, Light Turner fails at making a strong anti-hero, and too often comes across as a buffoonish little kid that is unlikable and simply not good. And if I could underline this sentiment, I'll infer once more that I thought this interpretation of Light was god-awful, both as an interpretation of the established character and also as a new character in general. He was generic. The L character is a misfire as well. Once more, I can't honestly single out the performance of the actor in the role as much as I think the character itself was bad. Both Light Turner and L themselves aren't very well established or developed characters. L might be a little bit eccentric, but for the most part his character just feels emotional and one-dimensional and never really accomplishes anything throughout the film. A cat-and-mouse dynamic between L and Light Turner doesn't really exist, everything feels rushed and simplified. And here I am, going back on what I said I wouldn't do, but Light Yagami worked best as an anti-hero, and in this film he comes off as morally conflicted and just kind of bratish. And L worked best as an enigmatic, compulsive recluse that was obsessively trying to catch Kira, and in this film he's just so emotionally unhinged and he's just a cliché. I didn't want to beat and bash the film for diverging from the source material, but the problem is that everything it changed in a way that made it hollow and overcrowded. It doesn't feel like they're combatants, it doesn't feel like they ever really established any dynamic, everything is just too fast and hastily strewn together. L is more or less a character you see from time to time and nothing else, and Maya and Light's dynamic is uninteresting altogether. By making Maya the real head of the operation, it undercuts L and Light's dynamic even more, and it also makes the pacing of the film feel even more disproportionate than it already did, with no momentum ever feeling like it's ever being built. This Death Note film has so many different things going on, so many different underdeveloped themes squeezed into its minuscule 100-minute running time, that it dilutes each and every single one of them, not only making diminished returns to what could have been, but doing an awful job on each of them. The philosophical aspects of Death Note are never discussed either. Light isn't even that noticeably unhinged by the sight of Ryuk. I mean, he screams and does that, but let alone the emotional aftermath you'd think he'd face after using the Death Note. In other interpretations, you could chalk this up to Light Yagame's character, but Light Turner's character is much more emotional and human, which means him taking these things so calmly is inconsistent with his own character. The best aspect of Death Note in general, besides maybe the exchanges between L and Light, is the twisted concept itself, but this film does the impossible of making even that feel mundane. By the end of this film, Death Note left an awful taste in my mouth. I don't really have that many positive things to say about it. The film not only fails as an adaptation, but it fails on almost all levels as a generic, one-dimensional, superficial, and hollow film that bogs down the unique ideas in favor of sentiment, undercooked character development, and a Mount Rushmore of bad decisions. Ryuk was cool though. Thanks for watching my review, and remember, my opinion is no better than yours, and if you disagree, feel free to write a comment below telling me what you thought about the film. And if you like this review, feel free to subscribe to the NJ Today YouTube channel, where I frequently post opinions on video games and movies. I'm also a writer, and my third novel, Catherine Forever with Love, will be released through Amazon for Kindle and paperback on October 31st if you want to check that out. Otherwise though, I don't really have much else for this review. Before I go, in the spirit of cat and mouse crime thrillers based on foreign source material, I am happy to induct The Departed into the Great List. That's my review, and I'll see you next time.